Hi, my name's Laura. I was supposed to speak last night at the Sarnia Photo Club. Unfortunately, I had a bit of a bug and was doing a lot of coughing. It's still bothering me a bit today, so if you hear me clear my throat a lot, I'm really sorry. I was supposed to talk about an image that I had created. Let's have a look at what that was. And go in here. Bear with me while I find it. It was an image that a lot of people had voiced interest in when they saw a similar image that had carrot weaving, and they wanted to know how I did it. So this was the same concept. It was done with 3 kale leaves. Kale is very interesting because it has a lot of color and a lot of form, but when you look at it, if you break it off the bunch, it's very bulky. So I had to find a way to compress that was part of the issue because I wanted to backlight it, but I wanted to show the texture. It was really difficult when it was expanded, like a regular natural leaf. So I had to find a way to compress it without damaging the leaves and still allow the light to come through. So challenge number 1. And the way I overcame that was using 2 sheets of plexiglass that I had placed together, and within that, this is kind of what the setup ended up looking like. So you can see there's the 3 kale leaves, my little dollar store clips. I do use heavy duty clips up top on the crossbar, and behind it was a softbox with a strobe light. Now, at the time I was doing this, I was going to Lambton College, so I had access to a few of these different details. There are other ways you can make softboxes at home that are really simple. One of the things you can use is just by purchasing the whiteboards that you get at craft stores, and I have used work lights that you get from Home Depot. The only thing with those is they're very hot. Make sure they're well behind the paper because it will ignite. Not that I've had one ignite, I just know how hot they are. So make sure there's a good distance. The other thing you can use is a high intensity flashlight. You just kind of have to watch for color balance when you're looking at things like that, because the whiteboards can actually pick up the yellow casting that will come from those lights. So that was the setup that I had done for the series. So what you see here is what is being shown behind. On the opposite side is, of course, myself. The camera, which is set up on a tripod, set at a particular height that I was very comfortable with, so I was shooting straight on. And then to the, I believe it was the right, is another similar softbox, and that was kind of more difficult because I was getting glare on the plexiglass, which I didn't want, and I hate doing Photoshop glare because it always takes something away. So I had to play with that for a bit and find where I was comfortable, where it was giving me enough light without shadowing, but enough shadow to show detail in the leaves. So that took a little while. It took me about probably 45 minutes. Again, like I said, I was shooting still as a student. When I still do these setups, I've kind of done it a little different now, but I still use my plexiglass. So to get the final images, what I had done was actually shot 3 different images. I'll show those to you. You can close the other ones. Bring them all up. So what I had done, just to make sure I had enough dynamic range, meaning I had a lot of shadows, the midtones, and the highlights, was I actually took 3 images. So basically, I think they can also call it bracketing. The only difference is I didn't change the exposure or the shutter speed in this case because I wanted those to stay the same, because I didn't want to change any of the values. So what I did was only change the aperture, which would either brighten or darken the image. So to get the highlights, I chose the F11. My midtones, I went to an F16, and to get the deep darks, I did F22. Now you'll notice the whites kind of changed too, because, you know, let's be honest, we're either subtracting or taking or adding more light in. So that's what happened there. From that point, I had to compress the three images together to get the final. So I basically stacked them together, and the software itself chose which parts to keep. I'm going to close each of these. So to do that, I use Photoshop Creative Cloud Current Edition. It is based on subscription. So what I did was an automate photo merge is what I believe I did with this one. Yes. So I just chose layout. It was the simplest. And I'm going to choose files. I'm going to browse for the three that I want, which are these three. So all I'm doing is going through and picking where the sources are, telling it OK. Make sure they're in proper order. So I did the brightest, the mid-tone, then the darks. I'm going to tell it to go ahead and blend it all together. And I'm going to tell it to take care of the geometric distortion correction. It's already been done, but for this case, that's just the way I did it. I also liked to use content fill where transparent areas, if there is such a thing, in your images. So I just let it do its thing. It runs through the program, and what you'll see is it'll slowly start adding them through. So it's saying it's going through and creating. And what it's done, if you look over to this side, pull this down so you can see, there's the layers here. So if I turn this one off and this one off, you'll see there's parts missing now, because what it's done is masked out an area. So the next thing I want to do is turn on the next one and then the next one. From there, you can pick away and decide what parts you still want to retain. For this, because it says it took out all of the highlights, I actually went in and I used the tool for masking. Let's pick a fairly softish, bring up the hardness a bit. So you can mask out or mask back in some areas. I'm just going to change that to a white. To change it to a white brush to paint back in, it's just make sure you're on a brush, and you can either swap it down here or you can just click X. I like to turn that one off. So let's say I want more of this back. I can paint this back in. You can tell that's really, really bright. So I'm going to just Control Z to remove that. So that's the basic setup on how I did it. Now you'll notice there's some parts here that are kind of not lined up. All I did was just use my crop tool, brought it into where I wanted it. Looks good. Cropped it, and then I flattened it. And that's how I got the image. Like I said, I'm sorry I missed everybody. I hope this answered any questions on how I ended up doing the project with the 3 leaves and how it got the range. There's a lot more that you could probably do with the image to improve it, but that's kind of the quick and easy. I think in all it took me a lot more time to do the actual image because I went through a lot more steps in fine-tuning it, but that's the general idea. And if you wanted to at the end, you can always do a save as, and you can choose your profile from there. I hope you enjoyed it. And again, I'm sorry I missed the meeting, but that is what happens in this time of year. People get sick, and I didn't want to pass it along to anybody else. Have a good day, everybody, and hope to see you at the next meeting.